the billionaire who pretended to be gay to win a woman's heart. Before she became Lina Jones, the woman whose name echoed through Manhattan's fashion elite, she was just Lina. A girl with big dreams, worn-out shoes, and a heart that believed in love more than anything else. Her small apartment barely had enough space for her sewing machine, yet every night, she sat there sketching dresses, imagining a future where her designs would walk the biggest runways in the world. And beside her, always encouraging her, was Bryan. "You're going to be famous one day," he would say, lying beside her on the thin mattress they shared. She would laugh softly. "Only if you're there with me." "I will be," he promised. "We'll build everything together." And she believed him. For 5 years, Lina loved Bryan with everything she had. They struggled together, dreamed together, planned a future filled with success, wealth, and happiness. But dreams don't always survive reality. It was raining the day her life changed forever. Lina pushed open the door of their apartment, her clothes damp, her hands full of fabric samples she had worked so hard to afford. "Bryan," she called out. Silence. Then she saw it. A suitcase. Her heart dropped. Bryan stood by the window, his back turned to her. He didn't look at her immediately. That alone told her everything. "What's going on?" Her voice trembled. He finally turned. His eyes were cold, detached. "I met someone," he said. The world stopped. "What?" "She's different. She has connections. She can help me grow. Help me become something." Lina felt like she couldn't breathe. "And me? What about us?" Bryan sighed. "Lina, you're talented, but you're not enough for where I want to go." Those words shattered her. 5 years. Gone. Just like that. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't beg. She didn't scream. She just stood there, breaking silently. And when he walked out, he took her heart with him. That night, Lina didn't sleep. She sat on the floor, surrounded by her sketches, her tears drying into something colder, something sharper. Never again. Never again would she depend on someone else. Never again would she let love make her weak. Never again would she be not enough. From that moment, Lina Jones was reborn. Years passed. Pain turned into ambition. Ambition turned into success. Lina worked harder than anyone around her. Nights became days. Days became months. She built her brand from nothing, one design at a time. Now, her atelier was one of the most prestigious in Manhattan. Large windows flooded the space with light. Rolls of silk, satin, chiffon, and lace lined the walls. Mannequins displayed breathtaking gowns. Assistants moved quickly, trying to keep up with Lina's pace. "Miss Jones, the Italian fabrics have arrived," Sonia said. "Good," Lina replied without looking up. "Prepare samples. I want to review texture, weight, and how they move under light." She didn't miss details. Ever. That's what made her different. That's what made her powerful. Men tried. They always tried. Wealthy investors, celebrities, powerful businessmen, they all wanted Lina Jones. But she rejected them all. Politely, coldly, completely. Love, to her, was a weakness. And Lina Jones did not allow herself to be weak. The night of her biggest fashion show arrived. The venue sparkled with luxury. Crystal chandeliers glowed above marble floors. The most powerful people in Manhattan filled the room. Lina stood backstage, watching her models prepare. "Make sure the gold accents reflect the light," she instructed. "I want every step on that runway to feel like power." And then, across the room, someone was watching her. Aaron Smith. Tall, composed, mysterious. A billionaire known for his silence more than his presence. "Who is she?" he asked his friend Jack. Jack smirked. "That's Lina Jones. Don't even try. She rejects every man." Aaron's lips curved slightly. "Then I'll be the exception." Jack laughed. "And how exactly do you plan to do that?" Aaron's eyes didn't leave Lina. "I'll pretend to be gay." Jack froze, then burst out laughing. You're insane. Aaron smiled calmly. No, I'm strategic. That night, without Lina realizing it, a game had already begun. A dangerous one. A man willing to lie to get close to her. A woman who had sworn never to love again. And a past that was about to return. A few days after the fashion show, Lina returned to her usual routine, meetings, fittings, and endless decisions that shaped her growing empire. But something had shifted. She didn't know it yet, but Aaron Smith had already set his plan into motion. Miss Jones, Sonia said, stepping into her office, Bella Smith is here to see you. Lina looked up. Bella Smith. Yes, she said, it's regarding a collaboration. Lina straightened slightly. Bella Smith was well known in elite circles. Turning her away wouldn't be wise. Send her in. Moments later, Bella entered with a bright smile, and behind her, Aaron. Lina, it's so good to finally meet you, Bella said warmly. I've heard so much about your work. Thank you, Lina replied professionally. Bella turned slightly. This is my friend Aaron. Aaron stepped forward, calm, composed, and completely in control. Hi, he said with an easy smile. I've been dying to meet the genius behind that runway. Lina studied him briefly. Something about him felt different. Not like the usual men who approached her with hidden intentions. Nice to meet you, she replied. Aaron's tone softened slightly. Bella talks about you all the time. I told her I had to meet you myself. Lina raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? Bella laughed. He's very picky with people, so if he's here, it means he likes you already. Lina allowed a small smile. Strange, he's easy to talk to. Aaron, meanwhile, was already thinking. Step 1. Gain her trust. Over the following weeks, Aaron became a regular presence in Lina's life. He showed up at her atelier, sat quietly during fittings, asked thoughtful questions about fabrics, colors, and silhouettes. But most importantly, he never crossed a line. He never flirted, never stared too long, never made her uncomfortable. To Lina, he was safe. And that was something she hadn't felt in a very long time. One afternoon, as Lina adjusted a gown on a mannequin, Aaron leaned against a nearby table. So, tell me something, he said casually. How do you know when a design is perfect? Lina didn't look at him immediately. She ran her fingers along the fabric, adjusting the drape. You don't, she said finally. You just know when it feels right. Aaron smiled. That sounds like love. She froze slightly. Then she shook her head. No, love is unpredictable. Fashion is control. Aaron studied her carefully. You're still broken, he thought. And I'm going to be the one who fixes that. Their conversations became longer, deeper, more personal. Lina found herself talking about things she hadn't shared in years, her childhood, losing her parents, building her business from nothing. Aaron listened. Always. Never interrupting. Never judging. One evening, they sat in her atelier long after everyone had left. The city lights shimmered through the windows, reflecting off crystals and sequins. I don't usually talk this much, Lina admitted quietly. Aaron smiled. I'm honored. She glanced at him. Why? Because you trust me. She didn't respond immediately. But inside, she knew he was right. Aaron played his role perfectly. He casually mentioned things that reinforced the illusion. Oh, my ex-boyfriend used to love this kind of fabric, he said one day, examining a silk piece. Lina didn't react much, but subconsciously, it lowered her guard even more. He's not like other men. I don't have to protect myself around him. And that was exactly what Aaron wanted. But sometimes, when she laughed too freely, when she looked at him a little too long, he felt his control slipping. This isn't just a game anymore, he realized. I actually care about her. One evening, Aaron invited Lina out for dinner. Just a break from work, he said. You need it. She hesitated, then agreed. The restaurant was elegant but quiet, dim lights reflecting softly off polished tables. For once, Lina allowed herself to relax. They talked, laughed, shared stories. For a moment, she felt normal. Happy. Then, Lina. Her body went still. That voice. Slowly, she turned her head. Bryan. Standing there. Looking exactly the same, yet completely different. More polished. More confident. More successful. Her heart dropped. Bryan, she said, her voice barely steady. Aaron immediately noticed the shift, the tension in her shoulders, the way her eyes flickered with something deep and unresolved. Who's this? Bryan asked, glancing at Aaron. A friend, Lina replied quickly. Aaron extended his hand calmly. Aaron. Bryan shook it, his grip firm. Bryan. The air between them tightened instantly. Unspoken tension. Unspoken competition. Bryan turned back to Lina. It's been a long time. Yes, she said softly. Too softly. Aaron noticed. And inside him, something dark stirred. So this is him. Bryan pulled up a chair without asking. I heard about your success, he said, looking at her with something close to admiration. You've done incredibly well for yourself. Lina forced a small smile. Thank you. Aaron watched silently, observing every glance, every tone, every shift in energy. Bryan leaned slightly forward. I always knew you would make it. Lina's chest tightened. Now you say that? After everything? Aaron spoke suddenly, his voice calm but firm. She didn't just make it. She built everything from nothing. Bryan looked at him briefly, then back at Lina. I can see that. The tension was undeniable now. After a few more awkward exchanges, Bryan finally stood. It was good seeing you again, Lina. She nodded. You too. And just like that, he walked away. But the damage was already done. The car ride was silent at first. Lina stared out the window, her reflection faint against the city lights. Aaron finally spoke. That was him, wasn't it? She nodded slowly. Yes, my ex. Aaron tightened his grip on the steering wheel slightly. What happened between you two? They arrived at her building. She hesitated, then said softly, Come upstairs. Inside her penthouse, the silence felt heavier. They sat on the couch. For a moment, Lina said nothing. Then, we were together for 5 years, she began. Aaron listened carefully. We had plans, dreams, everything. Her voice cracked slightly. And then one day, he came home and told me he found someone else. Someone richer. Someone who could help him succeed. Aaron's jaw tightened. He said I wasn't enough, Lina whispered. Silence filled the room. Aaron moved closer, but not too close. If you want to talk. I'm here, he said gently. Lina looked at him, her eyes vulnerable in a way she hadn't allowed in years. And for the first time since Bryan left, she let someone see her pain. That night changed something. Lina didn't realize it fully yet. But a door she had locked years ago had been slightly opened. And the person who opened it was the one who had lied to get inside. The night Bryan reappeared didn't leave Lina's mind. Even days later, as she stood in her atelier surrounded by fabrics and sketches, her thoughts kept drifting back to that moment. His voice, his face, the way her heart reacted. Why no? Miss Jones. Sonia's voice snapped her back. You've been staring at the same sketch for 10 minutes. Lina blinked, straightening. I'm fine. Just thinking. But she wasn't fine. Because for the first time in years, her past didn't feel buried anymore. Aaron noticed immediately. He always did. You're distracted, he said one afternoon, sitting across from her in the atelier. Lina sighed, putting down her pencil. Am I that obvious? To me? Yes. She looked at him, and something softened in her chest. He sees me. I don't understand why seeing him affected me like that, she admitted. I thought I was over it. Aaron leaned forward slightly. You don't just erase 5 years of your life. It stays with you. She swallowed. I hate that it still has power over me. Aaron's voice dropped, gentle but firm. Then take your power back. She frowned slightly. How? Face it, he said. Understand it. Heal from it. Lina stared at him. Heal. It was a word she had avoided for years. That night, Lina sat alone in her penthouse, laptop open. She hesitated for a long time. Then typed. Therapist near me. Dozens of results appeared. She almost closed the laptop. I don't need this. I've survived this long without it. But then, she remembered Bryan's words. She remembered the pain. She remembered how small she felt that day. And slowly, she clicked on a profile. Mrs. Adela. A calm face. Warm eyes. Kind smile. Without overthinking, Lina booked an appointment. The office was quiet. Peaceful. Nothing like Lina's fast-paced world. Mrs. Adela sat across from her, her presence calm and reassuring. You can take your time, she said gently. For a moment, Lina said nothing. Then suddenly, everything came out. My parents died when I was 8, Lina began, her voice trembling. A plane crash. I didn't even get to say goodbye. Tears formed. I grew up alone, fighting for everything. And then, I met someone. I thought he was my forever. Her voice broke. But he left me, because I wasn't enough. Silence. Then Mrs. Adela said softly. You built your entire life trying to prove that you are enough. Lina froze. Because it was true. I became successful, powerful, untouchable, Lina whispered. But I also became alone. A tear rolled down her cheek. For the first time in 7 years. She cried. Not out of weakness. But release. When Lina stepped out of the office, something felt different. Lighter. Not healed, not fully. But lighter. She immediately pulled out her phone. Aaron answered on the first ring. Hey, he said. Everything okay? I went, she said softly. Went where? To therapy. There was a pause. Then, I'm proud of you, he said gently. Her chest tightened. Proud? No one had said that to her in a long time. It helped, she admitted. I talked about everything, my parents. Bryan. And I feel better. Aaron smiled to himself. She's opening up. I told you, he said softly. You deserve to heal. The next day at the atelier, Lina sat at her desk, reviewing schedules. Then, ping. A new email. She almost ignored it. But something made her click. And then, her heart stopped. Subject, partnership proposal, Mason Jewelry. Her breath caught. She opened it slowly. Hello, my name is Bryan Mason. I am interested in partnering with you. Her fingers tightened on the mouse. Bryan. He wasn't just back. He was stepping into her world again. That night, Lina sat in silence in her penthouse. The email glowed on her screen. This is business, she told herself. This could elevate my brand even more. But another voice whispered. This is him. Working with him meant seeing him every day, talking to him, remembering everything. For 3 days. She didn't respond. At the atelier, Sonia approached her carefully. Miss Jones, it's been 4 days since the email. Lina didn't look up. I know. They're probably waiting for an answer. Lina sighed. I know. But knowing didn't make it easier. That evening, Aaron showed up with takeout. Movie night, he said with a smile. Lina smiled faintly. I needed this. They settled in. Halfway through the movie, Lina spoke. Bryan emailed me. Aaron went still for a fraction of a second. Oh. He wants to collaborate. Mason Jewelry. Aaron's jaw tightened, but he hit it quickly. That's a big opportunity. It is, Lina said. But I don't know if I can do it. Aaron forced a calm tone. Why not? Because it's him. Silence. Inside, Aaron burned. You're thinking about him again. But outwardly, he smiled gently. You should do what's best for your career, he said. She looked at him. You really think so? Yes, he said, even though every part of him hated the idea. The next morning, Lina made her choice. She sat at her desk, took a deep breath, and typed, I accept. She hit send. And just like that, everything changed. Lina stood in the middle of her atelier later that day. Designers moved around her. Fabrics flowed. Sketches were being drawn. Everything looked normal. But inside, she knew something had shifted. Bryan was coming back into her life. Aaron was already deeply in it. And soon, those two worlds were going to collide. The conference room at Lina's headquarters was sleek, modern, and filled with quiet tension. Design boards lined the walls. Fabric swatches were pinned beside jewelry sketches. Samples of gemstones rested in velvet trays under soft lighting. This wasn't just a meeting. It was a collision of past and present. Lina stood at the head of the table, composed as always. Thank you all for coming, she said professionally. As you know, we will be collaborating with Mason Jewelry for the upcoming summer collection. The door opened, and there he was. Bryan Mason, dressed in a tailored suit, confident, calm, and watching her like she was still the most important person in the room. Lina, he said, his voice softer than the atmosphere deserved. Bryan, she replied, equally controlled. Aaron stood across the room, observing everything. So it begins. The meeting began with presentations. Sketches were laid out. Fabrics displayed. Gemstones placed carefully beside designs. Lina pointed to a series of flowing gowns. The theme is summer elegance. Light fabrics, movement, softness, but still powerful. Bryan nodded. Then the jewelry should reflect light. Nothing heavy. Pieces that move with the body. Aaron spoke next, his tone calm but deliberate. The jewelry should enhance the woman, not just the dress. It needs to feel like part of her. Lina glanced at him briefly. He understands. Bryan noticed the look, and something inside him tightened. When the meeting ended, the board members slowly left. Soon, it was just Lina and Bryan. Silence filled the room. Bryan stepped closer. I'm proud of you, he said. You built all of this, on your own. Lina crossed her arms slightly. I had no choice. He exhaled. I see that. She tilted her head. And you? Looks like you got everything you wanted. Bryan hesitated. I thought I did, he admitted. Her eyes narrowed slightly. What does that mean? I got the success, the money, the connections, he said quietly. But I lost you. It needs to feel like... Lina's chest tightened, but she didn't show it. Let's keep this professional, she said firmly. And walked away. The collaboration officially began. The atelier transformed into a space of intense creation. Designers sketched nonstop. Seamstresses worked tirelessly. Jewelry artisans brought trays of stones, diamonds, sapphires, emeralds, pearls. Lina moved through it all like a conductor. Adjust the neckline, she instructed. Shorten the hem slightly. Those stones are too heavy for that fabric. Bryan worked beside her closely. This gown needs something delicate, he said, holding up a thin chain of diamonds. Lina stepped closer to examine it. Their hands brushed. Just for a second. But it was enough. Both of them felt it. From across the atelier, Aaron saw everything. The proximity, the touches, the familiarity. His jaw tightened slightly. He's getting too comfortable. He walked over casually. That piece is too predictable, Aaron said, looking at the necklace. Bryan raised an eyebrow. Predictable? Yes, Aaron replied calmly. Lina's designs are bold. That doesn't match her vision. Emeralds, pearls. Lina stepped in quickly. He's right, she said. We need something more original. Bryan looked at her, then nodded slowly. But inside, he understood. He's not just a friend. The days became longer. And so did the nights. Lina often stayed late in the atelier, reviewing designs, adjusting details, perfecting everything. One night, Bryan stayed too. The rest of the team had left. The space was quiet. "You still overwork yourself," he said softly. Lina didn't look up. "That's how I got here." He walked closer. "I used to tell you to rest," he said. She smiled faintly. "And I used to ignore you." They both laughed lightly. For a moment, it felt like the past again. Later that night, as they reviewed designs together, Bryan asked quietly, "Are you seeing someone?" Lina froze slightly. "No," she said. "Anyone close to you?" he pressed. She hesitated. "A friend," she said finally. Bryan nodded slowly. But inside, he didn't like the answer. The next evening, Lina stepped into the elevator after a long day. The doors opened, and Bryan was already inside. They exchanged a brief look. "Long day," he said. "Very," she replied. Silence filled the small space. Then the elevator opened to the parking garage. They walked out together. And that's when Aaron saw them, walking side by side, laughing lightly. Something inside him snapped, but only for a second. He quickly masked it. Lina approached the car. "Hey." Aaron smiled. "Hey, ready to go?" She nodded, getting in. Bryan watched them drive away. And Aaron gripped the steering wheel a little tighter than usual. At dinner, Aaron was quieter than usual. "How was work?" he asked. "Good," Lina said. "We made progress." "With him?" She glanced at him. "Yes, with him." A small silence followed. Then Lina smirked slightly. "Are you jealous?" Aaron answered too quickly. "No." She laughed softly. But inside, she wondered. That night, Lina stood alone in her penthouse, looking out at the city. Her thoughts were louder than ever. Bryan felt familiar, safe in a different way. Aaron felt present, constant. Why does my heart feel like this? Meanwhile, Aaron lay awake, staring at the ceiling. "I'm losing her." And across the city, Bryan sat in his office, holding one of Lina's sketches. "I'm not letting her go again." The collaboration was working perfectly. Too perfectly. Because beneath the success, beneath the beauty of the designs, something much more dangerous was growing. Love, regret, jealousy. And very soon, it would explode. It was a quiet evening at Aaron's penthouse. The city lights spilled across the floor-to-ceiling windows. Lina had come over to discuss a late design revision with him. Aaron sat across from her, calm but intensely focused. "Lina," he began, voice low, deliberate, "there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you from the beginning." She raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "I'm not gay." Her eyes widened. "What, you're not?" "No," he said softly, leaning forward. "I pretended, because I didn't want to scare you away. I didn't want you to reject me before I even had a chance." Lina blinked. Her mind raced. All those months, the friendship, the care, it wasn't what I thought? Aaron continued, his voice filled with emotion. "I'm Aaron Smith, CEO of Smith Industries. Wealthy, successful. But that doesn't matter. What matters is you." Her heart skipped. You lied to me?" she whispered. "Yes," he admitted. "But it wasn't to hurt you. I wanted to be near you. I wanted to understand you, before revealing myself. Because I didn't want to risk losing you." Lina felt a mix of anger, confusion, and something deeper. "I trusted you," she said, voice trembling. "I know," he replied gently. "And I will do whatever it takes to earn it back." Lina looked at him. He was sincere, vulnerable. The moment stretched between them, fragile and heavy with unspoken words. Then, he leaned in. Softly, carefully. Their lips met. It was electric. Lina's hands went to his shoulders. Aaron's hands rested gently on her waist. Time slowed. Everything else melted away. One thing led to another. clothes were shed. He held her as they moved to the bedroom. Passion and longing intertwined. Every touch, every kiss. Built on months of hidden emotions, quiet support, and secret care. The night was intense, tender, overwhelming. By the time it ended, they lay tangled, hearts racing, bodies intertwined. "I'm sorry I lied," Aaron whispered. Lina shook her head, breathless. I understand now." The next morning, Lina felt conflicted. She had crossed a line with a friend. Yet, she also felt something she hadn't in years: desire, trust, and connection. She avoided Aaron for a few days, needing space to process. But the more time passed, the more she realized. She missed him. Deeply. Unable to ignore her feelings, Lina went to Aaron's apartment. He opened the door, eyes wide but calm. "No more lies," she said firmly. "None," he promised. She looked into his eyes, searching. "I don't want secrets anymore," she said. "Nor do I," he replied. They talked for hours, untangling the web of misunderstandings, fears, and long-suppressed desires. By the end of the night, they were ready to face everything together. The fashion show loomed. The atelier was alive with energy. Lina moved through sketches, fittings, and jewelry arrangements. Bryan worked beside her, supportive but professional. Aaron watched from the sidelines, quietly protective, quietly jealous. Every glance, every touch, was charged with tension. Lina felt pulled in two directions. Bryan, who represented her past, the connection she had once lost. Aaron, who represented passion, honesty, and the chance for a new future. Bryan noticed Aaron's presence, and it irritated him. "You've been around a lot," Bryan said one afternoon, carefully neutral. Aaron's jaw tightened. "I'm here because Lina is my friend." "Of course," Bryan said, but his voice was clipped. Inside, both men were fighting silent battles. Bryan for trust, familiarity, and shared history. Aaron for honesty, love, and dominance. And Lina. She felt torn, yet more alive than ever. The night before the big runway, Lina stayed late in the atelier. Aaron found her, tired but focused. "You need sleep," he said softly. "I'll sleep after the show," she replied. He walked closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Promise me," he said, voice low. "Whatever happens tomorrow, don't forget this moment. Don't forget how we feel." She nodded, heart racing. "I won't," she whispered. The day of the fashion show arrived. Models lined up backstage. Jewelry sparkled under the bright lights. Lina's heart pounded as she watched her designs come to life. Bryan was beside her, calm but attentive. Aaron stood a few steps away, arms crossed, watching her with intensity. The music started. The models walked. Every piece of jewelry, every gown, was perfect. The audience erupted in applause. After the show, Bryan approached Lina. "You did amazing," he said, genuine pride in his voice. She smiled faintly. He took a deep breath. "Anne, I accept it. I see now who you belong with." Lina's chest tightened. "You mean that?" "Completely," he said. "I never wanted to hurt you. I know now it's your happiness that matters." That night, Lina sat alone. Aaron entered quietly. "Are you ready?" he asked. She looked up. "Yes," she said softly. "I want you fully," he said. "I choose you," she whispered. Their lips met. This time, there were no secrets. No lies. Only love. The lights of the runway dimmed, and the applause still echoed through the hall. Lina stepped backstage, her heart racing. Aaron was waiting, a broad smile lighting up his face. "You were incredible," he said, taking her hand. She smiled, a mixture of relief and exhaustion. "We did it." The designs, the jewelry, everything came together. Bryan approached, nodding with respect. "You've outdone yourself, Lina. Truly amazing." "Thank you," she said, her voice calm, professional. Aaron pulled her aside, his eyes searching hers. You were perfect tonight. Not just the show, you. Her cheeks warmed. I couldn't have done it without you. He leaned in closer. We make a good team, don't we? Lina smiled, knowing the meaning went far beyond work. Later that evening, the celebration moved to a lavish after-party. The city's high society gathered, champagne glasses clinking, laughter filling the air. Aaron stayed close to Lina, protective yet attentive, his hand brushing hers with every chance. Don't worry about Bryan tonight, he whispered. I'm here. She smiled, the tension from the past months finally easing. Bryan, from across the room, watched the pair. His jaw tightened slightly, but he smiled professionally, keeping his dignity. He's won her heart, but at least the collection was a success, he reminded himself. The very next day, Aaron surprised Lina with breakfast in her penthouse. Good morning, Lina, he said softly, carrying a tray of fresh pastries and coffee. Morning, she replied, a little sleepy but happy. Aaron sat down across from her. You know, we should start thinking about the wedding. Lina choked slightly on her coffee. What? I mean it, he said, smiling warmly. We've come so far. We've faced the past, survived it, and built something new. Why wait? Lina felt her heart race. Are you serious? Completely, he said, taking her hand across the table. I want to marry you, Lina. No pretenses, no games, just us. Tears filled her eyes. Yes. I want that too. Over the next weeks, Lina and Aaron threw themselves into planning their dream wedding. They discussed the venue, a grand hall with glass walls and city views. The guest list, friends, family, and a few key business associates. The flowers, white roses, orchids, and peonies. The music, a string quartet followed by a live band. Aaron was surprisingly hands-on, insisting they pick every detail together. Lina laughed one afternoon. I never imagined a man could care this much about flowers. Aaron grinned. You should see me at the jewelry fittings. She teased, I'll be holding you to that. Not everyone was quietly supportive. Bella, Aaron's sister, gave Lina a warm hug. I'm so happy for you. You make him different. Better. Meanwhile, a few old rivals from the fashion world whispered at the edges of the wedding planning. And even Bryan, though he had accepted defeat gracefully, occasionally sent Lina professional congratulations with subtle undertones of nostalgia. Lina handled it all with grace, focusing only on Aaron and the life they were about to build together. Amid the chaos of wedding plans, Lina and Aaron found quiet moments together. One evening, Lina leaned against him in her penthouse. I never thought I'd find someone who really sees me, she said softly. Aaron held her close. I always did. I just waited for the right moment to show you. She smiled, resting her head on his chest. I'm so glad you did. They spent the night talking about dreams, fears, and hopes for the future. Every touch, every laugh, every shared silence deepened their connection. The wedding day approached. The city was alive with excitement. Lina's penthouse was a whirlwind of dress fittings, flower arrangements, and last-minute adjustments for the ceremony. Aaron made sure every detail reflected both their personalities, sophisticated elegance with a touch of playful intimacy. Lina paused one morning, looking out the window. I've come so far, from the girl who didn't believe in love to this moment. Aaron appeared beside her. Ready for forever? She turned to him, eyes shining. More than ever. And, in that moment, everything felt perfect. The sun rose over Manhattan, bathing Lina's penthouse in golden light. She sat before her vanity, brushing through the cascading waves of her hair. Her heart raced. Today was the day. Every detail she had envisioned, the flowers, the dress, the music, was perfect. Aaron entered quietly, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Good morning, my bride-to-be, he said softly. She smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Morning. Are you nervous? Only a little, he admitted. Mostly excited to see you walking down the aisle. Their hands met across the table. We're finally here, Lina whispered. The venue was breathtaking, a grand hall with glass walls revealing the skyline, decorated with white roses, peonies, and delicate orchids. Guests filled the seats, murmuring softly. Friends, family, business partners, and close colleagues from the fashion world watched with anticipation. Lina appeared at the entrance, radiant in a flowing ivory gown, a delicate lace veil trailing behind her. Aaron's eyes widened. She was everything he had imagined, and more. As she walked down the aisle, he took her hand gently. "I promise you, Lina," he whispered, "this is forever." Tears welled in her eyes. "And I promise you, Aaron, I'm all yours." After the vows, Aaron stepped forward to address the guests. He cleared his throat, smiling warmly. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "I have a confession to make. For months, I pretended to be someone I wasn't, someone I thought you, Lina, would accept more easily. I said I was gay to hide my feelings because I was scared you'd reject me." Laughter rippled through the room. "But here we are," he continued, eyes locking on Lina. "Through patience, honesty, tears, and love, I learned that truth always wins. And Lina, you are my truth, my life, my love. I will spend every day proving it to you." Lina laughed softly through tears, feeling the weight of every moment that had led them here. The reception was magical. A live band played, guests danced, and the room sparkled with lights and laughter. Aaron and Lina moved through the crowd, sharing smiles, kisses, and whispered words of love. Even Bryan, from a respectful distance, toasted to their happiness, a smile on his face. "I'm truly happy for them," he said softly. Lina and Aaron danced under the chandelier, feeling as if the world belonged only to them. A week later, Lina and Aaron arrived in Bali, ready to escape into paradise. The turquoise water, golden sand, and lush greenery were the perfect backdrop for their love. They spent days exploring beaches, walking hand in hand through markets, and enjoying quiet dinners under the stars. At night, Aaron whispered, "I can't believe this is real." Lina rested her head on his shoulder. "It's real. And it's ours." Every moment deepened their bond, turning passion into a lifelong connection. A year later, their love had grown even stronger. Their penthouse in Manhattan was filled with laughter as their first child, a girl named Isabella, was born. 2 years later, a boy, Alexander, joined their family. The apartment was alive with joy, toys scattered across the floor, laughter echoing in the halls, and love radiating from every corner. Aaron watched Lina with admiration. "You're amazing," he said softly. She smiled, brushing Alexander's hair back. "We're amazing," she corrected, glancing at their family. One quiet evening, Lina sat on the balcony, looking at the city lights, holding Isabella in her lap. Aaron joined her, wrapping his arm around her shoulder. "We've been through so much," he said. "We have," Lina replied. "But it was worth it. Every moment, the pain, the fear, the love, it all led us here." Aaron kissed her temple. "And we have a lifetime to continue this journey." She smiled, feeling complete. After all the heartbreak, the betrayal, the lies, and the challenges, I finally found my home. In him. In us. The years passed, and Lina's empire continued to thrive. Aaron remained her steadfast partner, both in life and in business. They celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and milestones together, teaching their children the value of love, honesty, and perseverance. The past, the heartbreaks, the rivalries, the fears faded into memories. What remained was love, deep and unshakable. Lina often reflected on her journey. "I thought love was impossible. That men would only hurt me. But Aaron showed me that patience, honesty, and courage could change everything. And now, I've never been happier." Hand in hand, Aaron and Lina watched their children play, the city lights twinkling around them, hearts full, lives entwined, and a future brighter than they ever imagined.